Greetings, metalheads. Welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and today I'm back with another collection update, taking you through another little batch of vinyl, recent additions to the collection. All very good releases, all very nice versions. And I'm going to take this opportunity to show them off. So I've got a mixture of newer and older releases here. All of them, as I say, well worth checking out. I'm pleased to have these in the collection. And I'm going to start off with a couple of birthday presents, actually. So, although it's taken me nearly a month to actually get round to doing this, got a couple of very nice records for my birthday, courtesy of family members. The first article is from a UK thrash band who have been around for many moons now, since the early 80s, but a band that I have talked about quite a lot on this channel. I'm talking about Onslaught, UK thrashers, as I say, a fantastic band, a really genuinely excellent band. They've had their ups and downs and lineup changes and periods of hiatus and absence. They've had a very storied history, you could say, but they have some absolutely killer albums in their discography. One of my favourite Onslaught albums, other than The Force, which I've been talking about quite a lot here on the channel, Sounds of Violence from 2011. Now this album I do have on CD, but this was a lovely surprise gift in this nice gatefold format here. We have the vinyl variant, which is actually a slightly expanded version. We've got a bonus track here, which is a cover version of Motorhead's Bomber, the title track of the third album, featuring none other than Sodom frontman and just all-round legend, the mighty Tom Angel Ripper. But this particular variant is a nice, solid red vinyl. Very cool indeed. Nice. Can't go wrong with a bit of solid red vinyl. Very, very nice indeed. Nice blood red vinyl there. And this really is an exceptional album. So I was in fact listening to this album again this morning. And I think they're such an underrated band. Onslaught are such an underrated band overall. And this is such a good album. It's some of the heaviest thrash that isn't verging on death metal, if that makes sense. It is definitely thrash, but it is so fast. The riffs are so crunchy. The drumming is absolutely just pummeling. It's great. I really do love Onslaught. I think they're such a great band. So this nice gatefold is courtesy of AFM Records. Nice red vinyl, as I say. Nice simple package here, but just packed full of absolute beasts. Beastly tracks. Born for War. Absolutely crushing, you know. This is, if I was going to give a similarity or say, hey, Onslaught sound a little bit like these bands, I would say Onslaught aren't a million miles away from bands like Exodus and Slayer. They're probably the closest comparisons that I would be happy to give. They do sound different to those bands, but in terms of just absolute relentless thrash, savagery, they're probably the closest comparisons. They're right up there. This is full of great tracks, as I say. Born for War, brilliant. The Sound of Violence is the title track here. Absolutely incredible. Code Black, Merciless, Rest in Pieces, Godhead. We get a real, I guess, evil kind of vibe from some tracks. A little bit, you know, anti-established religion. Godhead, very anti-church. Hate Box, Suicideology. It's just great stuff. It really is a top-notch album. Absolutely fantastic. If you are looking for some killer, merciless thrash in the vein of Exodus and Slayer, then look no further than Onslaught and the Sounds of Violence. Lovely gift. Chuffed to have that. The next article is a band that, weirdly enough, I've actually been a fan of this band for many moons. First discovered them completely by chance when I was a mid-teen. and I was absolutely blown away by how furiously thrashy but still verging on death metal and just memorable, hard-hitting stuff this band have produced. So we're talking about Opprobrium, formerly known as Incubus, with their debut album Serpent Temptation, which is an interesting band, interesting history here. So this was originally released when the band was called Incubus. Bands have existed since the early 80s. I think they're from Louisiana, USA. Can't remember. But been around for a while. Existed for a few years as Incubus. Due to other bands with the same name, they changed their name to Opprobrium. Yada, yada, yada. They have some absolutely cracking albums, though. I mean, really, really great albums in their discography. This debut is one of them. This is thrash at the extreme end, where it's verging on death metal at times, definitely. And this is a lovely, lovely vinyl reissue here. Such a cool package. This is very heavy stuff, right up there with the likes of Morbid Saint or Demolition Hammer, where it is, as I say, is verging on death metal. But what's really cool about this version, try not to drop all of these goodies, is obviously we've got the vinyl here, which is black vinyl. So I'm not going to try and wrestle it out of here. But black vinyl there. We have an enormous double poster. We've got a line-up shot there of Opprobrium, Incubus. And the artwork here. Very, very cool. I feel like this is actually the original artwork. Sometimes I get it the wrong way around. There's two different artworks. I think some of the latter reissues have different artwork. We've then got a couple of poster cards here. We've got the lineup here. Very nice. Very, very cool. We've then got a very nice insert as well. Lots of little photographs there and lyrics. This is a reissue courtesy of High Roller Records, I should say. And what's really cool, I haven't even opened it yet, haven't got around to listening to it in this format, I have heard it on Spotify, is it includes a 12-inch of the Supernatural Death demo from 1987. And of course, some people regard this as being their best material, which is fine. I just happen to think the first two albums in particular are absolutely incredible. But how cool is that? We get the full demo, you know, the full thing, 10 tracks, awesome stuff. And it does actually sound good. It sounds intense. It sounds extreme. And even in 87, when thrash was well established, death metal was starting to really flourish in the underground anyway. This must have sounded insane, but the album itself is absolutely insane. It's a real beast. Kicks off with a lengthy, punchy track, the Battle of Armageddon, with its full apocalyptic sounds at the intro there, and then it just launches you into absolutely nuclear thrash. We've got Voices from the Grave, thrashing, but really extreme. Incubus, Opprobrium rather, is an absolute beast of a track. Blaspheming Prophets is a great one. Serpentine Temptation, Underground Killers. This is extreme stuff, full of great riffs, gruff, snarling vocals, harsh. Sounds great though. It's just those riffs, man. It's all about those groovy, rhythmic, thrashing riffs. Absolutely delicious. This is proper headbang along material here. Absolutely killer. And I do have this on CD. So you can get it on various formats now. In fact, I recently saw that you can now get this album as expanded cassette box set and all sorts of stuff. So there's lots of different variants of Serpent Temptation around. But it is a great album. Lovely present there. Really pleased to have that. Up next, we've got a birthday present to myself, in fact. Stumbled upon this and could not resist. So this is the expanded vinyl version of Sepultura's 1991 Arise. Expanded gatefold with a whole load of bonus material on the second vinyl there. This is Roadrunner Records. The reissue was in 2018, but I love Arise. I know it's a little bit of a polarizing album. Some people love it, love Sepultura, love Arise, Chaos AD, and so on. Some people will not regard this as one of their finest moments. Some people do consider it to be a little bit too commercial, a little bit too refined after the absolutely savage run of Morbid Visions, Schizophrenia, Beneath the Remains. But I happen to really love Arise. In fact, the actual title track and opening track, Arise, was one of the first Sepultura songs beyond Morbid Tales that I absolutely freaking loved. I was so hooked on this album when I first came across it. Absolute beasts of tracks on this album. Dead Embryonic Cells, Desperate Cry, Murder, Subtraction. Right through the second side as well. Altered State, Under Siege, Infected Voice. This is just a cracking thrash album. Absolutely brilliant. And it's got Sepultura's sound and style stamped all over it. It's a masterpiece. I absolutely love this album. The bonus tracks, we've got some good stuff here. A mix of kind of live material. There's a good live couple of versions actually. Arise and Desperate Cry. We've got sort of demo versions. A totally unnecessary industrial remix of Dead Embryonic Cells, which is not really worth hearing, to be honest. And demo stuff, as well as the studio cover version of Orgasmatron, the Motorhead track. But it's a great album. I personally hold this album in very high regard. It's just a black vinyl, but it's very cool. And I love Sepultura. I do love Sepultura a lot. I love both eras. I love the Cavalera era, and I love the Derek Green fronted era. But this lineup here, this is pretty solid. It's a pretty solid lineup. The Cavalera brothers, we've got Paolo Jr. on bass, and Anders Kisser on guitars as well. Great cover, let's not forget. And also we cannot forget to mention the fact that the album is produced by the legendary Scott Burns, mixed by Andy Wallace. Of course, this is a product of Morrisound Studios, Tampa, Florida, the legendary home of death metal, Florida death metal. A great album. So chuffed to have this. Just putting it on again. I hadn't heard the album in quite a while, many months in fact. Had never heard it on vinyl, of course, so putting this on for the first time was an absolute treat. An absolute treat. I was headbanging frantically around the living room the whole time. Absolutely love it. So we've got Arise from Brazilian thrash legends Sepultura. Up next, we've got one that I stumbled upon completely by chance. So, love them or hate them, Municipal Waste have actually done quite a lot for thrash metal. They were one of the bands at the forefront of the thrash metal resurgence and revival movement, bursting out of, I think it's Richmond, Virginia, I think they're from. Municipal Waste have done a lot for thrash. Some thrashers like the sort of comedic, light-hearted aspect of the band, some don't. Love them or hate them, Municipal Waste have been a big, influential band on the resurgence of thrash. They do play thrash. It's a little bit crossover leaning at times. It's a little bit more user-friendly, should we say, than some bands, some albums of the golden era of thrash. I personally have always been a fan of Municipal Waste since discovering them. I think that they've got a good mix. It's not just all kind of ripping off the old school thrash style. I think they do incorporate a little bit of crossover in there, a little bit of kind of punky vibe at times. But they've got the riffs, absolutely got the riffs. You've got a great front man in Tony, Landfill on bass, Ryan Waste, as I say, great guitarist, and you've got Dave Whitty here. There's our lineup. And this is the 2012 album, The Fatal Feast. which I was trying to remember earlier. I don't think this was the first Municipal Waste album that I'd heard. I think the first album that I had heard was actually the Massive Aggressive album, and I loved that. And when this came out, I don't know if I got it at the time. Maybe it was a little bit later. I really enjoyed it. I thought this is great, entertaining thrash. So then recently I saw online, on Amazon in fact, up for pre-order for about £16, I think it was, this particular version. So this is a reissue from this year. And we've got a little sticker here. It's describing that it is a 12-inch transparent splatter vinyl. This is number 279 of 1,000. You can see there. And it's part of a more environmentally friendly vinyl production. Not really sure. I know it's certainly meant to be more carbon negative or neutral, whatever it is. But I was just drawn in by the colour scheme of this thing. It's incredible. Absolutely brilliant. And it's a great album. Again, I listened to this earlier. Love it. Really ripping stuff. Great riffs. Love that you can hear the bass. Tony, good front man there. Drumming's fantastic. The whole outfit is tight. It might be comedic. It might be less kind of severe and moody and brooding. I don't think that's a bad thing. And I've recently talked a lot about bands such as Gamma Bomb here on the channel. Love it. If you've got the riffs and you've got the great material, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna enjoy that. Doesn't always have to be overly serious. So we've got this lovely album. It is a lovely album, and I'm really enjoying the tracks. Really enjoying revisiting that after not hearing it for quite a while, I will say. So we've got the Fatal Feast, Waste in Space. Can't remember if I actually specified what album that was. Great album. If you enjoy modern thrash, you're going to enjoy that. And last, but certainly not least, this I picked up recently, secondhand, at a place called Beatniks Records in Norwich, UK, I should say. And this is a 10th anniversary reissue of the debut album from California thrashers Warbringer. This is War Without End. And can we just say, first of all, that is a fantastic album cover. That is absolutely brilliant. That is formidable. That just oozes thrash. Absolutely love it. So as I say, this is a 10th anniversary edition, courtesy of Century Media. Released in 2018. The original was released in 2008. We've got the insert in here. It's just a black vinyl, so I won't wrestle it out. I think originally it would have come with a huge poster that says on this sticker. But what we have got in here, which I always appreciate, and I wish that you got more of this with vinyl, is you got the CD in there as well, which is awesome. And I will say I'm a fairly new fan of Warbringer. I've known about them for many years. I've listened to various tracks of theirs on Spotify. It normally comes up at the end of an album as suggested for you because of the thrash that I've been listening to, or on YouTube, or wherever. I've listened to bits and pieces here and there. I saw this and I thought I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this, and once and for all, I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna concentrate on Warbringer. And boy, I'm glad that I did, because this album absolutely freaking rips. It's proper raw old school thrash. You know, there's quite a strong, in my opinion anyway, there's quite a strong influence from maybe the Teutonic bands like Creator and Destruction. I feel like there's probably a little bit of an influence from earlier Sepultura in there as well. This is heavy end thrash. And of course, being from California, I believe they're from California anyway. I might be getting mixed up, but I think there's definitely a Bay Area vibe in there as well. But I think they're a good mix of thrash. You know, they're not emulating one particular band. They're clearly drawing their influences from across the thrash metal spectrum. And the result is this very fine album. In particular, we kick off with some absolutely beastly tracks, but these are my favourites. Total War, hell of a track. Systematic Genocide, these are just absolute riff whirlwinds. Hell on Earth is a great one. Instruments of Torture, Combat Shock, Onslaught, Humans to Kill. Start to finish, to be honest, this is a relentless beast of an album. Thrash. If you like proper good thrash riffing, if you like screamed, shrieking vocals, then yeah, you're going to dig this. Riffs. If you like riffs, you're going to dig this. Absolutely brilliant. So I'm chuffed to have that in the collection. A good wildcard purchase that paid off. So, there you have it. A brief run through of some recent additions to the collection. Otherwise, if I was going to go through everything that I have purchased recently, I'd probably be here all day. So sometimes it works to section it off a little bit. But just to recap, a nice birthday present this was. We've got Sounds of Violence from Onslaught from 2011. Absolutely masterful thrash. One of the best thrash bands, I should say, around. No, they're not necessarily breaking new ground, but they do thrash better than what a lot of other bands do. Opprobrium from Louisiana, with what was released under Incubus, of course, Serpent Temptation, a great album with all the bonus content and all the other bits and pieces. That's for thrashers who like their thrash verging on death metal. So if you like Morbid Saint, if you like death, you're going to dig this. Brazilian thrash gods, Sepultura, with Arise from 1991. A cracking album. Absolutely love it. Can't resist tracks like Arise and Dead Embryonic Cells. So good. Richmond Thrashers Municipal Waste with The Fatal Feast, Waste in Space, on this delightful gatefold, environmentally friendly, splattery vinyl. And last but not least, we've got some, again, more modern thrash. We've got Warbringer with War Without End. Awesome stuff. Just riffs galore. So my friends, what are your thoughts and opinions on these bands, on these albums? Have you heard these albums? Have you heard these bands? If you haven't, they're all well worth you checking out. Check them out and let me know what you think. Always interested to hear thoughts and opinions of others, as always. Thank you very much for watching, my friends. Do feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. Support is very much appreciated. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good heavy things. Do take care of yourselves. Until next time, stay heavy.